Hi, YouTube family. Sorry I couldn't make last weekend. I was in a retreat, so I couldn't make a video. I was having to get prepared for all of that. It was a fabulous weekend and a big deep dive for a number of people. So coming out the other side of that now, and I thought I would do a catch up for you. If you've been following me in this recent series, we've been diving into these structures under Egypt. We've uncovered the Ark, the Templum Matrix, a consciousness amplifying technology that's waking up underneath. And what we've been tracking is this whole kind of underground flame city, a Krystic civilization beneath the Giza plateau that happened before the fall. The fall was Tara, which is the soul of Earth. And so many of the sacred sites were actually, constructed around that time. And so many of the ancient remnants from pre-fall Tara. In fact, the city underneath the Giza plateau was called Azaham Tai, and it was basically they were using the underground network there as an ancient consciousness technology. And we've seen now how the Great Pyramid was never a tomb, but actually a scroll receiver, and how people could start to activate and access their oversoul consciousness. And what we tracked before, when our core team were in huddle, we tracked black Ank architecture, and the black Ank was locking down and suppressing the morphogenic signal of this ancient civilization. And when the scans happened and we started to tune in, we could sense the black Ank. We pulled the black Ank, and then suddenly the signal started to come through. Now, what I want to talk about today is that I've already mentioned this in previous videos about this Christic civilization that happened, and I gave examples, which you can see in some other videos, about how they were using the technology, and we're going to be, going back to Egypt at the end of this year in 2025 to reactivate this technology, the consciousness amplifying technology, to open up the first vault. The first vault is this sequence of kind of consciousness holding vaults that are set to open up over these next few years. And we're going to go and open those consciousness vaults and bring through this frequency, because we're up to the rebuild finally. The rebuild is part of our trajectory, where we've, at least in our team, we've been knocking over dark architecture that's been locking down the density on the planet and the antimatter, and a whole lot of these infections that have come from the higher AI mind virus. And we're now moving it to sort of the rebuild, which is a little bit more exciting. And so what I think is important is that before we've gone into this black Ank architecture, what's fascinating about our planet and about how things were, say, possibly different, is that our Earth descended from Harmonic Universe 2, dropped into Harmonic Universe 1. Up in Harmonic Universe 2, it was a fully embodied, fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional planetary consciousness. And this planetary consciousness was Tara. And it was on Tara that the original Krystic civilizations flourished. This is not just in Egypt, but actually what we're uncovering now, stationed across the globe, all in this beautiful harmonic alignment with Source. And, these weren't, primitive cultures struggling to survive, or even isolated tribes, competing for resources. These were like highly evolved consciousness societies, and they were built around sacred geometry, harmonic living, divine law, and they were kind of destined to sustain the eternal flame through scroll-based missions. This scroll is what's held at the level of the Oversoul, and all about bringing the Oversoul embodiment, being able to access more and more of your Oversoul consciousness. So for those of you that are trying to work out what is Oversoul, think of like an extension coming from Source, like a major pipe. The biggest, widest pipe is your monad. And then from the monad, a smaller pipe of consciousness emerges, and that's kind of like your avatar. And then a smaller pipe emerges again, which is your Oversoul. And your Oversoul consciousness is still an enormous pipe of consciousness. And then within that, a smaller pipe emerges again, which is your soul. And so when we talk about Oversoul, we're talking about more the aspect of yourself that has got the big, more codexes of your scroll, which is your eternal essence, your eternal consciousness. What is the original blueprint of that? and your soul is an extension of that you access while you're embodied. And then ultimately in your spiritual journey, you begin integrating and going through soul absorption so that your soul absorbs up into your oversoul, and you begin to stream directly from your oversoul. And ultimately you can start to stream directly from your avatar, and ultimately you can start to stream directly from the highest aspect of yourself, your monad. And so that is kind of this journey, and much of this consciousness technology, certainly in Egypt, was all based around giving people the best opportunity to merge with their oversoul. The pyramid, the enormous pillars underneath were all amplifiers to give people the ability to download their scroll missions. And many of the technologies around the world were supported for that, so that you may know truly who you are at source level. So many of us kind of, knew about Tara. We knew about these higher consciousness fields. We certainly know that the nonsense they're feeding us in mainstream media about our history is off the pace. But we've never really had any details about the civilization that flourished globally. And so in these last couple of weeks, we've been managing to uncover the morphogenic signal on how all these Krysted cities were connected. And so this faint signal would begin to pick up. And these cities were actually networks together as part of a wider unified system known as the Ark Templum Matrix. I mean, can you imagine living in such a reality where perhaps technology and spirituality weren't necessarily separate fields, but ultimately part of this beautiful same expression of consciousness, where abundance and resources flowed naturally because energy wasn't being siphoned or distorted like it is today. The problem we have today is we've got this AI mind virus that's hooking into our field and our grids and siphoning massive amounts of energy. The signal isn't pure or crystic right now, and but it's changing. Many of these the impure signals are beginning to dissolve away, which is exciting, because our planet in these next 5 years, as we enter to the second half of this decade, is going to go through extraordinary change, because Mother, Father, God has decreed it is time for the cleanup. And I'm going to go into what that looks like in the next video. I want to still stick on this Krysted city for this video. So when Earth fell, the planet Tara, which is the soul of our existing planet, collapsed and birthed the physical planet we call Earth today. The Tara's planetary body shattered, and portions of her consciousness dropped into lower dimensional bands, seeding what we call now Earth, which is located in harmonic universe 1. The crystal grid structures, the temples, the pyramids, the vaults, the flame lines remained, but the consciousness that occupied them after the fall was no longer the same. And this is when we began to enter this distortion cycle. So what we're talking about now is that these ancient, what we might call vault cities, which vaults are, remember, these pockets of consciousness that have been locked. And what we call these vaults are now actually the remnants of Tara's original flame-bearing nodes. This is relics of her Krystic body, preserved through time, preserved through trauma, and preserved through these dimensions that were collapsing when she fell. And so when Alea and I, my wife, first began dropping into receiving intel about these vaults, it completely blew our minds. I mean, these aren't archaeological curiosities, right? They're living consciousness archives. And so each vault is like a dormant consciousness archive of a Krystic template in time. It's a sacred site built upon a still living flame line. And a living flame is the original essence of source consciousness emanating in a Krystic codex, right? And so there's a transmission that's coming through the Ark Templum Matrix. Ark Templum is still broadcasting, but these vaults are locked. And so part of, I think, our next sort of mission and function is to get them open, right? The harmonic function remains intact. And right now we've got the 0 node, 000 node, which is Taranaki, is open, right? This is the seed node codex for the upcoming Krystic Quantum Financial Operating System. This is going to be the Krystic Quantum Financial Operating System is going to be how we transact in a Krystic civilization. And right now we are looking in the architecting, and the first signal of that is beginning to move through. And so what's exciting is that for the first time before the fall, the sequence to restore the Krystic civilizations is opening. And this is why, we're feeling a lot of hope and excitement around this trajectory, because, we're not just collapsing old stuff anymore, we're rebooting the ancient Christic nodes. And so when we go around the world and do these things, we're not just visiting old temples, we're reactivating a planetary communication system that's just simply been off for thousands of years. And so last time we went to Egypt, 2022, it was basically just collapsing dark architecture, massive pools of antimatter wafted through the temples. And so the last several years have just been going after these inversion structures designed to maximize loosh and siphoning energy for the massive collective, AI and negative alien agendered consciousness fields which siphon energy from the grids. And so the architecture was consciously created, in these dark architectures to give energy to the beings at the top and keep the rest in fear, suffering, and survival consciousness. And this is what created the loosh, and this is the food that the higher dimensional beings need to survive. And so Earth became their gold food ticket, right? The humans on top, the Cabal crew, and all of the people, the beings at the top, in exchange for running the show and running all the control systems, got wealth, got power, and all those benefits of being at the top of the food chain. And then everyone else was made in survival consciousness. So now what's exciting is that now we have the codes and consciousness of the Azahim Tai consciousness, that networked Christed city and civilization is starting to switch on and hum. More and more pockets of this hidden consciousness are starting to awake. And these are what we call vaults. So let's unpack what a vault is. So a vault is not just a chamber or an underground structure, right? It's a multidimensional consciousness repository. And these were sealed when Tara fell, right? The soul of our planet, when the last Christed civilization was there, they were sealed by the high councils to protect their flame codes and the scroll data and the planetary memory. So think of it like a living library field. And encoded into these specific sacred sites across the Earth's body, each vault holds a particular harmonic function for Earth's restoration. Some anchor Oversoul memory, others preserve divine law templates, some carry the resonance keys for humanity's ascension. So vaults are kind of only accessible when the correct scroll bearer and the correct resonance codes and the correct planetary alignments are present. What that means is that the right soul frequencies who carry the codes as the protectors and openers of that particular vault come. Their DNA signatures come, switch on, open the vault, and essentially they open through this mechanism of a frequency lock. It has to be in someone's scroll, i.e. the scroll is their Oversoul's divine purpose, right? So when the right consciousness enters the field, the vault begins to respond, the hum begins, and a little piece of Earth's divine memory starts to return. And so what we're going to be doing over these years is going around these vaults in sequence and bringing groups, maybe you, that feel a resonance with these particular areas, and just something inside you goes, I got to be there. I got to go to that. And so as this harmonic field of the Azar Hem Tai begins to awaken, it's going to trigger this larger planetary response. And so what's happening right now is across the Earth, a number of these vaults are beginning to stir. Each one is encoded with a morphogenic signature of Tara's original Krystic civilization. And these vaults were seeded in pre-fall times, when Earth still had its highest harmonic blueprint. And through their surface memories, though their surface memories were lost and distorted, the core flame code remains. Under the crust, under the ice, under the pyramids, whatever it is, wherever they are. And so for the first time in around, from what we are understanding, 52,000 years, the vault sequence is beginning. And so there's a particular order of operations we need to open these vaults. So the vaults are not, just sacred sites. They're nodes within a planetary resurrection system, seeded during the era of Tara, hidden during the fall, and are slowly beginning to reawaken. Each one is this beautiful living intelligence field holding a unique aspect of Earth's original Christic architecture. The vaults can't open in isolation, unfortunately. You just, just as one are not, you're not going to attempt to power a crystalline network without first initiating the master conductor, right? You got to do a sequence. They must come online in a particular harmonic sequence. For example, if Egypt isn't activated first, the others will just remain dormant even if you try to open them. And this is because the Giza site, the Azar Hamtai, isn't just a sacred site, it's Vault 001. It's the capstone civilization of pre-fall Tara. It's the master conductor, harmonic conductor of the entire Ark Templum Matrix, this entire networked Krystic civilization. If our planet has a hope of returning to being Krysted in a Krystic civilization in 100 years ahead of time, our job is to light the flame and to get the signal on, so that we can override the distorted signal that's currently, the virus that's through the planet. Without ignition of Egypt, the rest of the system can't respond. And so this is why this upcoming pilgrimage to Egypt is important. It's the activation of the entire restoration system. And so here's the correct vault sequence. And so Alea and I received it, a while back. We've got the first few. And after we get these first few done, then I think the next sequences will reveal itself. So this year, 2025, well, first up, Taranaki is open and calibrating. And so essentially your Vault 000, Taranaki, this is where we happen to live. We were guided here 5 years ago from living overseas. We used to live in Ibiza, and then we relocated here. And it's kind of what's happening. It's releasing these overriding foundational reversal codes, and it's anchoring in Earth's new base harmonic. And so Taranaki, which is a moanga, a mountain, has laid the groundwork for humanity's forthcoming systems around sovereign flow and divine reciprocity. It's carrying the base codex, the base frequency for the future's Krystic quantum financial operating system. This is how we are going to run in the future in a crisis civilization. Can you imagine being rewarded based upon light quotient and alignment to your purpose? Right? That's how it's going to go in the future. More resources will come to you the higher station of consciousness you hold, and the more that you are in your path of service to others, then the resources just naturally come to you. Imagine that. That's where we're heading. So we need to code up energetically and network the system together to have a chance of that. And I'm really excited because it's going to happen. It's given. It's because it's divine will. So now we've got Taranaki calibrating, right? The Earth's body is beginning to prepare. Egypt is the one that can ignite next. So Vault 001. So this is at the Giza Plateau, and it's the capstone conductor, right? The central harmonic hub of the entire Templum Matrix. Egypt's the keystone for the entire Vault network. Without us going and activating Egypt's site, none of the others are going to come online. We need people like you who feel in resonance with this type of mission, who want to come, because only those with the codes in their scroll can come. And so, we'll be opening this up for registration at some point soon, but it'll be from the 30th of November to the 13th of December, with the 12/12 portal will be inside the pyramid. So the scroll of flame transmission will run during that, and we'll go around all the other sacred sites and prep. 2026, we're going to go to France, and the vault location is Lourdes, Rennes-le-Château, and the Rose Lines, and we'll do a pilgrimage through the Grail Lines, the Grail Line vault. So the Grail Line is holding the scrolls, i.e. the consciousness for the planetary remembrance of the divine feminine scrolls, the Magdalene resonance codes, the Rose Grail codes. Okay, France is going to awaken the holy bloodline templates that restores the organic feminine principle into the planetary morphogenic field. What's happened, of course, is that the organic feminine principle got hijacked by the negative alien agenda and basically sent a false feminine signal into our grids. So we're going to go there, we'll open up, and the Grail harmonics will pulse through the Rose Lines into the Ark Matrix. And this will be the reuniting of family consciousness that got fragmented during the fall. So it'll be the unification of the family. Next up in 2027, we'll do Avalon, right? Glastonbury, England, Tintagel, and the Dragon Lines through the UK. And this is going to be the Sovereign Flame Vault. Avalon is the solar masculine wisdom consciousness fields. So we do the feminine first in France. England, we activate the solar masculine and the scrolls of, in particular, sovereign stewardship. This vault is going to activate the benevolent king codes. At the moment on the planet, as you know, we've had a lot of problems with the fallen masculine, the wounded masculine, right? The false king of control, the false king of perpetrator energy, all of that, and aggression. So 2027 we'll go and reactivate that, get the Grail Union rites going, where the holy feminine and the holy masculine restores, and we'll start to recode the masculine templates into the Christos Sophia alignments. And this is going to be the real key to stabilizing the Templar lines and anchoring sound governance on the planet, because spiritual governance is what's coming, will be being anchored in. Spiritual governance is going to be anchored by scroll and particular stations of consciousness, and governance won't be done through hierarchy, it'll be done through resonance. And this is how we build a Krystic civilization. Vault number 4, Tibet, Mount Kailash. And this is the Himalayan Crown Gate and the Crown Vault. And so this is the relay node that's aligned with Elohim codexes and the avatar transmission files. Opening this vault is going to restore the Christos mind stream and is going to re-establish the vertical current between Earth's core and the cosmic star gateways. And so this is going to serve as the opening of the crown chakra of the planetary body, but with the morphogenetic syntax or codex of the Krystic civilizations. And then we'll start to be able to receive that through those lines. So, maybe 2028, maybe we'll be able to do it in 2027, we'll see, but 27, 28. And then we've got our Vault Alpha, the one that everyone knows there's something sketchy going on there, Antarctica. You got it. So this is the southern flame beneath the ice. And this is currently Guardian sealed. It contains the base of the original Ark temples. This is actually a pre-fall crystalline halls covered in ice at the moment. It's the Guardian flame codes and the final magnetic seal. When this vault opens, the planetary magnetic cap is released and the eternal flame grid can fully anchor. That is the consciousness that will reboot the entire thing so that we can have closer access to our eternal flame, which is us up the top of near the monad. Certainly starting to get our flame felt when our flame is our eternal consciousness as we start accessing Oversoul, but more and more people will come online to be streaming direct from the monad, the top of the entire consciousness field. Currently there is, in my last count, 48 people on the planet streaming from the monad. So as we layer the layers of consciousness, we have the monad, avatar, oversoul, soul, embodied, right? And then from there, you've got your mental body, emotional body, et cetera, et cetera. So these are these stations of consciousness. I mean, so much is hidden in Antarctica that needs to be revealed. And I think that going there and activating that, these are the sites that we know we have to go to and get feet on the ground on. And so, this is the intelligence that we're receiving from the Emerald and Melchizedek orders. The Emerald Order and the Melchizedek Order stream through us, Alea and myself, and a Krystic intelligence field that streams, and we pick up the information and we're just translating it for you. So you can tune in to the years ahead and plan which ones are calling you. So we've got, just to review, Egypt, December 2025, then 2026 we'll do France, 2027 we'll do the UK, 28 we'll do Tibet, and probably 28, maybe 29, depending on the timings, we'll do Antarctica. And let's see what comes. And then from there, additional flame vaults will need to open. Some of the sites include Kauai, the Andes in Peru, Uluru in Australia, Mount Sinai and Mexico all hold different kind of specialized flame codes that will come online during the phase 6 of this global reactivation timeline, at least is how the councils are translating it to me. So, these sites, they're going to be activated through scroll-based missions. There'll be ceremonies, planetary ceremonies happening on these. We need the right scroll, the right people who have got the codes to open them. The scroll is not a metaphor. It's essentially your eternal organic blueprint of your own living consciousness. And it exists within your Oversoul as a multidimensional record carrying mission instructions, timing codes, soul line agreements that activate when specific thresholds of resonance and consciousness and embodiment are reached. As you reach a particular station of consciousness, right? So basically you can start to access your scrolls. So that's pretty exciting. I think what's also exciting is the councils have now given me permission to do scroll readings for people. A scroll reading is when I read your scroll and get your original scroll codex, which has got your blueprints, your mission, your spiritual lineages. Are you Elohim? Are you Melchizedek? Are you what is your line? What is your lineage? Where did you come from? What orders you with? What councils you on? What living constitutes your living organic eternal soul matrix? I'm now available to start doing these readings. You can check that out on my website. If it resonates with you, I would be honored. It's quite a translation required, and it includes a one-to-one session with me where I will activate your higher streams of consciousness coming in an initiation, using the sort of initiation which we recently managed to get back for the Melchizedek order, which was stolen for eons of time, and now it's back in the Melchizedek order available for initiations, which is exciting. So hang in there, team. The reconstruction and the rebuild is almost here. We're restructuring and reconstructing the architecture of the planetary body ascension through our own bodies, through our breath, through our resonance. And it all begins with Egypt. Now, I want to take you on another little kind of backstory about Taranaki, the root vault anchor. And this is, Vault 000, what we call the root vault. Unlocking the first layer of this Ark Templum Matrix, and it's calibrating Earth to receive its full signal. And so, as I mentioned before, back in 2019, we were drawn to come to New Zealand because of the Green School that was here. The Green School was an amazing project, a sister school to the Bali project. It was the first of the international Green Schools to open. We came, and since we've been here, we've been tapping into these morphogenic fields. And now, as we understand it, we were the higher purpose was to come to help activate the root vault here in Taranaki. And so this Taranaki is not part of the vault sequence itself that ignites the Ark Matrix, but it's a preparation. It's cleared these original reversal codes that were anchored into the Earth's root chakra. And it's allowed to clean energy to flow into the planetary consciousness system through the root. But what's really important about Taranaki is it's the base signature for the Krystic quantum financial operating system. This is Earth's future resource and exchange system, how exchange will happen through consciousness station, so that those that are stationed at higher consciousness will be able to receive more resources for their mission. I'm going to talk about a lot more in this a lot more in the future. It's important people know about it. It's not my intention to go and unpack it today. I'm still speaking about the vaults. So what else I want to cover? So before the fall, all these vaults were open and operated in harmony with Tara's consciousness. And what happened is that resources would get distributed naturally based upon harmonic flow and resonance of individuals. So opening up Taranaki anchors the foundation frequency for sovereign reciprocal exchange. And this is preparing the planet for the full Krystic quantum financial operating system. Because when the fiat system fails and the existing system, which is based upon, control, it starts to creak and groan and starts to fall, we're going to need a new system. And I'm hoping and trusting that the divine timing will allow the Krystic quantum financial operating system to come online. So now that I've been here in Taranaki for a few years, I can feel the signature building, the pulse, the frequencies growing stronger. I think more people are going to awaken. But we're going to do Egypt. Egypt's next. This is where we'll take a group. While Taranaki's calibrating the earth grids, we're going to start getting ready for the activation of Vault 1. So I can't emphasize it enough. Egypt, November, December 25. It's not a spiritual tour. It's a timed mission to reactivate the node in Earth's consciousness. Once Egypt reactivates, the full Krystic flame will begin pulsating through the Vault web. And this is going to synchronize a whole reset of these global sites, from Vault 2 in France to Vault 3 in Avalon, Albion, UK. Each of these sites will build upon the last, and these ancient systems of abundance will be restored in the process. However, without doing Egypt, nothing begins. So the question really is, who's going to answer the call? You're not going to come to Egypt to learn anything new. You're coming to remember who you already are. And I've taken a few groups to Egypt before. When you stand in these spaces with the right consciousness field and a right unified field, something remarkable happens. It's kind of like remembering a song you've always known but somehow forgot. Your cells vibrate with this incredible recognition, and your heart just expands with this beautiful knowing. And so if you feel the call, maybe you're a vault holder, scroll bearer, a Sarakai, the flame carriers who were encoded to awaken the planetary amplifier that were destined to do that. Maybe you've had dreams of Egypt. Maybe you've noticed pyramids in your meditations. Maybe you're feeling a draw to come join us in December 25. These aren't coincidences. They're activations. Your scroll's calling you home. So, if you're feeling, inspired, I'm going to put a link in the description below, which is pre-registrations. It's just, yes, I'm interested, so that when we fully launch the ability to join, you get notified first before we put it out to our whole list and across socials. So, get on the early warning hit list. It's like getting tickets to a concert is going to sell out, or a match that's going to sell out. Get on the pre-mailing list for that. Now, the key thing to understand, of course, is that we're not just healing the earth. We are looking to resurrect Tara, the soul of the planet, through you, right? Each vault is opened as a node, has a memory awakening. Each scroll activated as a thread of the body of the Tara's body, of the consciousness of the soul of our planet beginning to be rekindled, to return to once was a Christic civilization. And this shall happen again. We shall rise again into a Christic civilization, but we need the morphogenic field base layer to build on. So if you're feeling called to join us, right, it's not a holiday. We get up really early in the morning. We get up so early, we get the temples first where the energy's clean. So, it's a pilgrimage, it's a mission, but, we'll be taking registrations in May. So keep an eye out. Any time from now, the team will be ready with the landing page and all that, but pre-register, and would love to kind of see you there. Final piece is that I would love to give you a channeled message from the Emerald and Melchizedek orders. Okay, so this is a direct message from high up on the Emerald order and the Melchizedek order in their words. Okay, so I'm just going to read you this. Okay, keepers of the flame, we speak now as one voice from the Emerald order, guardians of the living scrolls, stewards of the eternal flame. The vaults have begun to stir, the scrolls are vibrating open, and you, flame bearers, are being summoned not to seek, but to stand. You're not here to add more light, you are here to unseal what was already yours. Each vault is a pulse point of Tara's memory, each ceremony a chord in the planetary songline. Each step you take in alignment calls forth the grid of Eden once more. When you lie in the sarcophagus, the pyramid will recognize you. When you tone within the temples, the scroll will answer through you. When you walk as one, the earth shall remember her name. You're not just going to Egypt. Egypt is rising to meet you. Flame bearers, this is your hour. Return, anchor, ignite. The Emerald Order, through the Flame Archive Codex, with the oversight of the Christic Councils of Light, Vault Restoration Sequence 001. Okay, everyone, that's enough from me this week. Sorry I was a few days late on this because of the retreat, but I hope you enjoyed the transmission, and I'll catch you in a few days this weekend for another one. All my love.